Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Monday, July 19th. Today we will continue to have thunderstorms spread north across the Great Basin. These thunderstorms will be a mix of wet and dry over the northern and western half of the region and wetter across Utah and southern areas. As we move into Tuesday, drier air pushes into much of Nevada, pushing thunderstorm activity into the northern and eastern side of the basin. Still a mix of wet and dry in the north. And then by Wednesday, we will continue to see that drier air push into Idaho, with an increase in winds over central Idaho starting on Wednesday. We'll also see relative humidity drop on Tuesday and Wednesday across northern and western areas. Today, however, is one of the bigger thunderstorm days. Coverage-wise, will spread across much of the Great Basin, and it's really these northern and western areas where fuels are most critical, where these mix of wet and dry or drier storms will be most problematic and most concerning. Even areas that are shaded in the yellow may only see lighter amounts of precipitation in many areas. It's really just the areas further south and east over Utah and southern areas of the basin that will have better chances of wetting rains. Looking at our smoke forecast here for this morning and this afternoon, obviously plenty of smoke downwind of all of our fires, both on the western and northern side of the basin and to areas further west. This will affect western and northwest Nevada up into Idaho today. Similar conditions aloft with, again, the smoke just blanketing parts of western and northern areas of the Great Basin. Over the last 24 hours, we saw plenty of lightning over the southern half of the Great Basin, with more isolated lightning further north into Utah and into Idaho, with a couple of strikes also south of Lake Tahoe. These thunderstorms were wetter over far southern areas that saw generally a quarter up towards a half inch in some of these heavier spots of precipitation, but as you work your way north, pretty quickly precipitation tapered off and it was very spotty anywhere else we saw thunderstorm activity. Great Basin fire activity is shown here with our new fires shown in red. We did have generally light initial attack yesterday with about 15 or 16 new fires with limited growth. However, we did see still significant growth on our large fires, especially the Tamarack fire on the western side of the Great Basin, and obviously plenty of high fire behavior over central Idaho. Looking at the last 7 to 14 days, we've had precipitation mainly over the far south, and this again has been above normal for the time of year and really just associated with that monsoon moisture. Anywhere else north and west has seen a limited precipitation with thunderstorm activity. Fuels are still very critical over the northern and western half of the Great Basin, where ERCs are still above the 90th to 97th percentile, despite the increase in cloud cover and even some limited increase in relative humidity so far. Still very critical. Obviously, southern areas of the Great Basin that continue to see periods of wetting rains with these thunderstorms, ERCs are quite a bit lower. Over central Idaho, looking at our ERC charts, obviously well above records for the time of year with respect to ERC. And over western Nevada, again, both areas that we're seeing active fire behavior, ERCs are at records in those areas. Our satellite picture from this morning shows the ridge of high pressure dominating the Four Corners area, with plenty of moisture working its way up north into Idaho today. Cloud cover will limit some of our initial thunderstorm activity, but we will continue to see those thunderstorms develop further north today. Currently, we have thunderstorms ongoing over southern areas of Nevada. Looking at our weather pattern for later today, again, that moisture works its way all the way up into all areas of the Great Basin, so we do have high risk for a large portion of the northern half of the Great Basin and western areas along the Sierra Front and into northwest Nevada for that increase in lightning. These thunderstorms, again, will continue to mostly be a mix of wet and dry, but it's really this lightning over these extremely dry fuels that is very concerning regardless of any precipitation that falls out of these storms. Looking at our weather pattern for it today, again, the better chances of wetting rains with these thunderstorms will be over the southern half of Nevada into parts of western Utah. Anywhere further north and west, thunderstorms will produce more spotty precipitation. Winds today will generally be light outside of the gusty outflow winds. However, along the Sierra Front, those westerly winds will kick up in the afternoon with gusts in the 20s, and we will see some wind gusts up in the 20s also up into central Idaho. Moving into Tuesday, drier air starts to work its way into western areas of the basin, so we will see decreasing lightning coverage across parts of western and northern Nevada. However, this will push the lightning activity and the lightning concerns continuing across Idaho into Wyoming tomorrow. We will also continue to see plenty of lightning activity further south into Utah and far southern Nevada and the Arizona Strip. These thunderstorms, again, will be wetter in areas where fuels are not as critical. On Thursday, you can see the weather picture here. Again, definitely more spotty precipitation in the north where those thunderstorms will occur. We still could see some thunderstorm activity over parts of northeast Nevada before that drier air works its way east. Otherwise, winds very similar, generally light or moderate winds. Again, picking up on the Sierra front on Tuesday. Mostly the gusts will be in the 20s, but the RH will also be decreasing as that drier air moves in, so we should still see increased fire behavior. So again, looking at those RHs on Tuesday as those drier air works in, RHs will drop back into the mid-teens over western areas and still remain elevated further east. As we move into Wednesday, that dry air works its way into Idaho as well. So we will see decreasing lightning coverage, still lightning over the eastern half of the Great Basin. But again, still you can see those fuels really haven't moistened up much in Idaho or western Nevada as that precipitation remains spotty. Looking at lightning, most of our lightning will be located across Utah, still possibly some isolated strikes further north into Idaho, but we will see an increase in winds across Idaho on Wednesday, mostly again gusts in the 20s, but as relative humidity begins to drop a little bit and drier air works its way in, that will at least be something to watch for our existing fires. Again, relative humidity on Wednesday drops in Idaho, but still remaining generally above 18 to 20%, so not super low, but over western and northwest Nevada and the Sierra front, those relative humidities will drop back into possibly the single digits to low teens. You can see the forecast amount of precipitation here over the next few days with those thunderstorms. Obviously, best chances of wetting rains in Utah and the southern half of Nevada. As you go further north, even in central Idaho, really not highly confident on how much of that precipitation will be in the wetting rain variety. Again, more spotty over northern and western areas. As we move into Thursday, dry air remains in place. Lightning continues potentially over the eastern half of the Great Basin, but no high risk, as much of these areas, again, much of the thunderstorms will be occurring in areas where fuels are a little bit wetter. Friday into the weekend, we see yet another push of moisture into southern areas of the Great Basin, but very dry conditions over northern and western areas. So this will increase the likelihood of holdovers and also likely drop our overnight relative humidity recoveries quite a bit going later in the week. So this will affect ongoing incidents and our burning periods as well. On Saturday, that moisture pushes north, again, mainly the southern half of the Great Basin with very dry conditions in Idaho. And then by Saturday, seeing that moisture possibly push back up towards the Sierra front, bringing a return of lightning activity. So we'll be watching again these areas on the western and northern sides that have again remained very dry. Main change in the 7-day total precip is just bringing more precipitation to parts of Utah and southern areas of the basin. And then the 8 to 14-day outlook, taking us from the end of July into the 1st of August, shows warm conditions, but still that monsoon moisture continuing. Again, most of that will be over the southern half of the Great Basin, leaving our northern and western areas on the drier side. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.